A mantra I live by really comes down to the three core things that I think about life. And the first is vision. You have to have vision for where you want to go. The second is purpose. Purpose comes after vision, because once you have a vision of where you want to go, you can be purposeful in every single action you take. And then the third is legacy. When you have vision, when you act with purpose, you can actually leave behind a legacy.
Welcome to the Network Marketing Made Simple podcast. I am your host, Scott Aaron, and each and every week I'm going to come to you with short, simple, and powerful tactics of how you can grow your network marketing business, brand, bank account, and impact on those around you. And just remember, network marketing is not easy, but it can be made easy with simple steps to create the success that you truly deserve. Welcome to episode 88 of the Network Marketing Made Simple podcast. And if you are a new listener, then welcome. And if you are a returning listener, then welcome back. And as always, if you are a new or seasoned network marketer and are still solely growing your business through the means of Facebook and Instagram, and you are not yet leveraging the power of LinkedIn and what it can do to your business, your network, and your bank account, then head over to my website, www.scottaaron.net. Fill out the form to schedule a free 15-minute coaching call with me where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can potentially work together. So I have an incredible guest with me today, and I love providing you guys not just network marketers, because network marketing is an entrepreneurial business. So it doesn't matter what the vehicle, entrepreneurship looks the same. Everyone has to take action. They have to stay committed to their goals. And my guest today is no different. He is someone that had big goals for himself. And beyond that, what he's doing now spurred from a passion, and doors opened up. And he is now making some amazing headway in the fitness and wellness industry. So I would love to welcome to today's episode, James Patrick. James, welcome to the show.
Scott, buddy, thank you so much for having me on, man. I'm so excited we can chat.
Me too, brother. So again, I don't like telling people their story. I want you to tell your own story. I want to obviously talk about Fitposium, which is an incredible event that is coming up. But more so, I want to learn a little bit about James and how you got to where you are right now. So if you could just introduce yourself to my network, where you're from, and how you got to do what you're doing right now.
Man, it's funny to dive into questions like that, because I never know how far to take back the timeline. So what I'll say is I'm an entrepreneur by accident, in the sense that I never planned to be a business owner, because what I thought was the right route for me was the safe route. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to choose the default setting for college, which is, well, I'm a writer, I might as well be a journalist. And after working as a journalist for a while, I had the opportunity to get into photography. I became a photojournalist, and from there, a newspaper photo editor, a magazine photo editor. I became a freelance editorial photographer and started going down that path for a bit. And then a door opened up to work a safe corporate job in marketing. So I set that idea of like just running a business to the side while I pursued the 401k and the weekly paycheck and the 9 to 5. Well, it was more of a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. job, yep. But the safe route for me. But in this time, the further I went down this path and went down this journey, something was itching inside of me. Something was kind of burning beneath the surface that had to get out. And it got to a point where I realized, as I'm working my marketing job, I'm graduating college, I'm working this marketing job, every single second of free time I have, I'm pouring into this side hustle, this passion in photography. And it got to a point where I'm now working 2 full-time jobs. And if I have, at my corporate job, if I had 8 hours of sick time, I'm taking a sick day. I'm working on my photo job. If I have 8 hours of vacation time, well, I'm taking a day off and I'm going to work on my photo business. And I got so impatient in this process that I started to take half days because I couldn't wait to accrue an entire 8 hours of time off. I'm like, well, I got 4 hours in the can. Let me take that off. Then I got even more impatient. I started going negative into my vacation accruals just because I had to take time off. And that was that light bulb moment for me is I need to make a transition here and I need to leap. Unfortunately, I made that leap right at the bottom of the recession. I walked away. I thought my family was just gonna kill me. They're like, "Wait, you quit your job? You did what?" I'm like, "Yeah." So it was 2008, 2009. I walked away from the paycheck. I walked away from the benefits, the 401k, and I was the person who's like, "I'm going to be a photographer." And it worked. It worked beautifully well. I was so truly grateful and honored because I doubled my income in that first year, walking away from that corporate business to run my own brand as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and once the lid is taken off within entrepreneurship, the sky's the limit. But you're not just a photographer. Tell the audience specifically, because I love your story and I love how accomplished you became in such a short amount of time and impacting the health and wellness industry. But just go over, and that's what I love about it. Take us through the timeline. You quit the corporate job, you go all in with photography, you triple your income in that first year. Like those first 3 to 5 years, what actually transpired? What happened to your business and what niche did you find yourself in within photography?
I'm so glad you asked that because when I started as a photographer, I tried to do whatever it took to get work. And I did any work that I could get my hands on in the sense of, oh, you photograph architecture? Yes, I do. You photograph receptions? You betcha. You photograph fashion? I'm your man. But the problem with that here's the problem, is that I was a jack of all trades, but I was a master of none. I wasn't known for anything. And if you were to go to my portfolio at that time, nothing would stand out because it was all fine. It was all decent work. It's not that I was bad at any of these subjects, but I was not great at any of them. And during this time when I was doing this, my business was not doing well. And thank God I still had my marketing job because I would have struggled as a photographer. And at one point, I actually considered not being a photographer. I'm like, well, business is rough. Clients are going out of business. It's kind of a struggle to get work. Maybe I'll just do my marketing job because at least I can rely on that. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't put that camera up. So I looked at my book of work and I said, what is it in my book of work that really vibes with me, that really resonates with me? And for me, it was working in this, I call it the sports and fitness and wellness industry. I love working with athletes. And I had this affinity of working with athletes. I was an athlete all growing up and in high school. But something about that constant strive for perfection, knowing that perfection is not attainable, but you can try to get closer and closer and closer to it. But you only have a finite amount of time in which to do it. And that really, really hit home with me. So the idea of working with athletes and creating these really unique athletic portraits, I looked at that. I'm like, well, I could do that because no one else is doing that right now. And this is, like I said, we're about 2008. No one else is really putting their attention towards this. So what if I put my attention towards that? But if I'm going to do that, I got to go all in. I got to be the best at it. And that's when things really shifted for me. I took down half my website. I took down half the galleries on my website and I got focused. And when I got focused, all my decisions started to become crystal clear at that point. What clients I pursue became crystal clear. The type of work that I was chasing became very clear because now I have a direction. I did not have a direction at the start. So now I had a direction. And so it was like, all right, well, I need to work with these publications and I need to work with these commercial companies. And once I got those, then it's like, all right, what is the next level? How can I climb to that next ring on that ladder? Okay, now I got those clients. How can I get to the next ring and the next ring and the next ring? And it grew and it grew and it grew. And that's when, right at that point, that's when I made that transition just to photography full time. But here's the interesting thing. Like I said, I worked as a journalist. So I got very comfortable telling stories as a journalist, but I also worked in marketing for 7 years. And I understood what it was to market a service, how to tell a story to sell. And I'd be creating these imagery. And a lot of people would hire me because my work had a propensity of getting published. And if I were to look at the number of magazine covers I've shot to date, it's over 500, most in
Wow.
the health and fitness industry. So a lot will come to me and say, I want to get published. It would help my business. It would help my brand. And I'll say, let's give it a try. And I had an individual, this is about 8 years ago, said, I want to get published. I feel like it would help my brand. They're a personal trainer. I said, well, let's find out. Let's see what we can do. We made their media kit. We made their photos, and they yielded not one, not two, but 3 magazine covers in a single year.
Wow.
3 covers in a single year, which is unheard of, by the way. That is insane. That is like next level status. But the following year, they were out of business. And that stunned me when they told me. I'm like, what do you mean you're out of business? How is that possible? I created, like, they landed a local cover, they landed a national newsstand cover, and they landed an international newsstand cover. You have attention locally from people who could hire you. You have attention from people across the US and North America who could hire you. You have attention from people across the world who can hire you. How are you out of business?
How are they out of business?
They had no idea what to do with the attention.
Ugh.
They had no idea how to convert it. No clue. They just no idea. And that was like that light bulb moment where I took it for granted. I realized, oh, well, I've worked in storytelling. I've worked in marketing for years. I know how to do this. But they went to school to study the human body. They went to school to become an amazing personal trainer. They never learned how to get clients. And that was a big shift for me. It's like, no, we need to teach people how to convert this. It's not just getting great imagery. I can do that. It's not just getting published. I can help you with that. It's what you do with it. It's how you tell a story that matters, how you get in front and you grow the awareness of your brand, how you cultivate the individuals who are looking into what you're doing and how you convert them into clients, and then how you keep them to be evangelists. This is what we need to be talking about. So I started blogging about it. Then I started podcasting about it. But the thing we needed, the thing that we got so focused on is we need a community around this. And so we launched a conference back in 2015. The conference is called Fitposium. And the entire predication of the conference is how do you build a brand? How do you market that brand? And then how do you profit from that brand in the health and fitness space?
So I want to talk a little bit about Fitposium, but just in just a second. So I just have a couple like rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Number one, what's the best piece of advice that you were given early on that propelled you to where you are now?
You know, I'm fortunate that I've had a lot of mentors help me out along the way. And there's a few, because I remember when I worked my marketing job, I had this amazing VP, and he told me, you know, if you want to grow your brand, he was talking about like my business. He says, I want you to do 3 things: be seen, be heard, be read. You achieve those 3 things, people are going to find out about who you are. And then just about a year ago, I was talking to our mutual friend, Chris Harder. And, you know, he told me something that I've held in my head ever since he told me to, because it's so beautifully put. A terrible idea that you take action on will be infinitely more successful than the most brilliant idea that you do not take action on. And I think myself, you, everyone listening to this show has been in that position where they had a great idea. They didn't do anything with it. They saw someone else do it, and they saw that other person succeed with it because they didn't take action on it. Action is everything.
That is gold. Now, second question. What is the greatest lesson that you have learned in being an entrepreneur?
So it falls off that same thing. So when I worked my marketing job, I had this idea to write a certain type of white paper, just a marketing sheet, like kind of like a mini book on a style of marketing that I was really drilling in upon in the professional service industry. No one was talking about it. No one was really doing it. I had incorporated it into my business, and it was going really well for our company. And I'm like, I should be the person that authors this white paper. And I started to work on it, and then I put it up on a shelf, and it gathered some dust. And I pulled it out, dusted it off, maybe worked a little more on it, put it back up on a shelf. I think it was like 2 years later, I get my stack of white papers from a professional organization I was a part of, and I rip it open. I'm like, oh, what are the white papers this year? And the first one, literally the title I was thinking about except that wasn't my name next to it. That was someone else's name. I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, there it is. I had the foresight right there. I had the foresight to do this, but I did not take action. And all I'm left with at this point is hindsight. And so I got very adept at taking action before I was ready to take action.
I love that. Now, biggest, because I'm big on vulnerability and people really sharing themselves. What's the biggest obstacle that you've had to overcome since going out on your own as an entrepreneur?
Myself.
Mhm.
And it's one that I'm starting to come to terms with a lot more now that I'm going into my late 30s, which is I did what I thought entrepreneurs had to do, which is I sacrificed everything, including myself,
Mhm.
in order to achieve an idea of success. And I would set success based upon conditions. Once I reach a certain financial metric, I'll be successful. Well, I hit that metric and I just moved the finish line down the road.
Right.
Okay, well, once I hit that one, I'll be successful. Well, I just moved it even further. Once I shoot 50 magazine covers in a single year, then I'll be, well, no, I did that. And I just moved it further and further and further. And I sacrificed my body because I stopped taking care of myself because I had to work. I stopped nourishing my mind. Who has time to read and to develop themselves personally? There's work to be done. And I left zero time for relationships in life. It was completely backwards. And then I realized that, oh my God, yes, I have a business that is on paper successful, but I'm not healthy enough. And if I continue on this trajectory, I will not live long enough to enjoy this. B, I'm always stressed out. I'm being warned about my weight. I'm being warned about my blood pressure. I'm being warned about my blood sugar. I'm having medical issues that I don't know what they are because I'm not taking care of myself. And I feel like I'm always stressed out. I'm like hyper stressed. And then three, I am completely and utterly alone. And what is the point of all of this? If and the analogy I use is I was on a hike. This was about 2 months ago. I'm on a hike and I'm at the top of the summit. And I look down at this gorgeous valley in Scottsdale, Arizona, and there's this strong saguaro cactus there. And I'm like, wow, that is a big cactus. So I start going down the mountain, and it turns out that the trail goes right next to where this cactus is. But this strong cactus that I saw from the top of the mountain, when I got down to see it in person, I saw the rest of it. It was all rotted out at the core.
Mm.
And it was all down to the skeleton, the ribs of the cactus. And it would not live. I guarantee it will be dead within a year because it was built on a terrible foundation. And that's what I made the mistake of doing because I only focused on business. And so I've shifted that. Now I focus on my body, I focus on my mind, and I focus on relationships. And guess what? I still have plenty of time to get my business done.
And it's so funny because I interview people on Facebook, I interview people on my podcast, and whenever I ask that question to the top performers, and I ask them, what's the biggest obstacle that you had to overcome? They say two things. Number one, their mindset, or number two, they say themselves. And it's the same thing. Your mindset
Mm-hmm.
is you. And it's just so interesting how that 6 inches in between your ears, it's either going to hurt you, it's either going to help you. And I see it now on the outside looking in, how much we were allowing those thoughts to hurt us, but how we're now allowing those thoughts to help us and push us forward. And that's what we want to get through to people. What you think about is what you become. And that's
Yes.
a quote from The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And it's so true. What you think about most often is what you become. So if you think about being broken, you reinforce those feelings and,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good enough and I'm never going to do this. You embody what you think about. So just shifting that mindset and taking care of your health, because James, you said it perfectly. If you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Yeah.
So let's now shift and, I want to respect your time and I want to talk about Fitposium. So you launched the event 4 years ago. This is the 5th year of Fitposium. So let's talk about what the event is, who it is geared towards. And I know that there are still tickets available for people because the event is coming up in October. So tell us about Fitposium. How can they find information out? Who's the right person to come to this and what can they expect to take away from it?
I appreciate you asking. The concept was so simple. If we gathered together people with a shared passion, because everyone within the health, fitness, and wellness space, they get into it with the desire to help others. And the work we do is too important to not succeed. It's too important to stay hidden. And one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is they're too quiet or too apologetic about the change or the impact they want to have in the lives of others. And we want to shift that. So if we bring enough people together and sit around that table and share best practices, share strategy, and share lessons learned, how far can we go together? And my prediction, what we've seen is we can really break through barriers. We can really shift the direction of an entire industry. So really the predication is quite simple. How do you build, market, and profit from a brand in the health and fitness space? And it doesn't matter what you choose to do, because we have personal trainers who come. We have people who own their own gyms. We have people who are nutritionists. They're online coaches. We have people who design athletic apparel lines, people that have created their own product, people that have created their own supplement company, people that have created their own exercise equipment. They all can come together because there's shared vision and there's common ground. And so this year's conference is October 3rd through 6th in Scottsdale, Arizona. I mean, we have some amazing presenters, and we focus on three things in what we give our attendees. The first is information. So that's the presenters like Chris Harder, presenters like, one of the OGs in the health and fitness space, Jamie Eason, presenters like Jill Coleman and Danny J, just great strategic sales and marketing focused minds presenting on stage this year. But information is only one component of it, because I'll be honest, I go to conferences all the time. Information at scale is free. You can jump on YouTube and learn any of this stuff. There's no question. Yeah. So that's not what we hang our hat on. Although we have I love the presenters we have, and I'm confident that our 2019 conference is the best lineup we've ever had. Amazing. So there's two other things. The second is community, because every entrepreneur feels that they're in it by themselves, and that is not true. And that should not be true. You can have people who can keep you accountable, who can support you, who can push you, who can send traffic your way, who want you to succeed, because they know when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for them. A tribe, that is so essential. And so many of us fail to establish that support network. And then maybe we don't get that when we go home. Maybe our spouses don't see our passion or don't see our vision, or maybe our friends don't understand what we are trying to do. And it helps to have that network that you can turn to say, here's an idea. We see it all the time. When someone registers for our conference, they get access to our private Facebook group, and we encourage them to say, go in there and say what you want to do. And we see people all the time. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about launching. And then everyone else jumps up to say, we love it. We got you. How can we support you? How can we keep you accountable to make sure you do this? So that is essential. Then the third thing, and I've not seen this at any other conference, and this is the thing I'm so obsessed over, is opportunity. Because when I think about what I would want from a conference, is I want business opportunity. I want to know that I can go there and I can do business development at that conference. So what we do at Fitposium is we partner exclusively with leading publications, and we bring the top magazine editors from across the world in the health and fitness space to be at the conference, to take one-on-one face-to-face meetings with attendees, and to create opportunities for these attendees to get media features. And we're going into our 5th year. So in the last 4 years, we've had well over 100 published media features from attendees from the conference because they met with the editors at the event, and the editors booked them sight on. We need you for a project. And that includes, we've had over, I want to say 24 magazine covers in the last 4 years. That's people getting their mission, their story, their brand on the cover of a printed magazine that they can then use, because then we teach them. So they're not going to be that person, my client from 8 years ago. We teach them how you leverage this, how you use this, and how you turn this into growing your business.
I love that. So obviously this is an event not to be missed. So how can people connect with you? How can they, and obviously I'm going to include this in the show notes as well, but how can they find out about Fitposium, and where do they go from here?
Absolutely. So our event, the Fitposium event, has sold out every single year, and we're going to sell it out this year. So I'd encourage your listeners, jump on this. And to jump on it, go to fitposium.com. You can lock in your pass. And for your listeners, I'm going to hook them up. I'm going to give them 25% off any pass they choose. Yep, 25% off any pass they choose We'll set up the promo code. Use the promo code Network25. That will knock off 25%. Like, it's one of those things, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Wow. Guys, I mean, literally, James is giving you all a gift. And even if you're in network marketing and you are a personal trainer on the side, but even if you're in network marketing and you're part of the wellness industry and that's your opportunity, this event would be perfect for that. And the fact that you're getting 25% off, that is just such a huge gift, but it says so much about you, James, as a doer, but also as a giver, as really wanting to help as many people as possible. So any last words of encouragement for the listeners before we end today's episode?
I'll tell you what resonates with me the most, because like I said, we're going in our 5th year. Every single year, without fail, someone will come up to us at the conference. They'll come up to me, someone on my team, and they'll say, listen, since last year's conference, maybe I left a job that I hated. I launched a career I love. I'm now the breadwinner of my family. I now proved to my husband that I can do this. I now proved to my father that I can support myself. I now am showing my children that they can do this too. And they tell us this with tears in their eyes. That is how important this is. And it's every year. And this year, I'm so proud of this. At this year's conference, we have 4 people who are presenting who were past attendees of the conference. That means at one point they were sitting in those seats, and this year they are on our stage. And that shows that to get from that seat to that stage was one step. Because when I go to conferences and I feel that presenter is a mile away from me in terms of their business, in terms of their professional trajectory, I don't know how to get there. But that proves that this is one step away. And I'm so proud that we have 4 past attendees who are actually presenters at this year's conference.
I love that. James, thank you again so much for taking time out of your day. And again, we'll leave the promo code, the website, for everyone to be able to get the tickets to this incredible event in October. So James, thank you again for being here today. Grateful for you and your friendship, and keep doing what you're doing because you are impacting more people than you even know.
Scott, I want to thank you so much as well for doing a show like this to give so much of yourself, so much information, so much value to your audience. You are doing so much to help people own their future. So I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, brother. So again, everyone, please use the promo code in the show notes. You do not want to miss this event. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you again so much for checking out this week's episode. And if you can, head over to iTunes, search for Network Marketing Made Simple, leave me a 5-star rating, basic review. I would be grateful for all of the support you guys can give me. And again, if you'd be interested in learning more how to utilize LinkedIn to grow your business, your brand, and your bank account, head over to my website, www.scottaaron.net. Fill out the form for your free 15-minute discovery call so I can learn more about you, your business, and how we can work together. And again, thank you guys so much. Grateful for you all, and I'll see you next time.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.